This is Cutting Down the Nets. It's Thursday, March 3rd, week and a half left before the big dance. Let's get right into it. We'll start with closing line value day. The Sklansky Bucks were flowing to a 2-4 record, had closing line value on everything. It's frustrating when that works out. If you value closing line value, which I do, yeah, it sucks because you're on the right side of these lines, but just because the line moves doesn't mean you're going to win. So saw that firsthand here on Wednesday. So let's get to Thursday's schedule. I live in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. Grew up in Iowa, small town Iowa, and have been a Hawk fan my whole life, and I have not won an Iowa bet this year. If you're new to the show, you'd say, oh, well, yeah, that's what homers do. The opposite. I've bet against this team numerous times and can't get them right. And I've been preparing for the Fran fade. Usually it's right around February 5th, where the defense completely slides and the season is over. I've even seen us go from number 1 in KenPom to, I think, the play-in game in a 1-month span. But shot quality and Paddy both have Iowa winning on the road at Michigan. I don't know, maybe Michigan's better without Juwan Howard, so Phil can coach. I don't know. But Iowa's been really creative with their starting five. This is a cohesive team, meaning like they're all playing roles, and it just seems like it's one unit. And starters are changing often, rotations are changing often, and results are certainly happening. The first game, Michigan won by 5 at Carver Hawkeye Arena. I believe it was decided at the rim, where Michigan went 23 out of 31 on near proximity, and Iowa went 17 out of 33. That's 12 points right there. And I don't know. We'll see what happens in this game. But shot quality and Paddy are aligned there, which is good enough for me. Oregon and Washington is orange. Look, I'm a believer in situational spot. I'm a believer in motivation. I'm a believer in revenge. But we can't just say every time a team loses that they have the upper hand to be more motivated than the other team. Look, Oregon's motivated. They're trying to go to the NCAA tournament. But Washington got clowned in Eugene. It was 44-10 in the first half. And on paper, turnovers should be more even between these teams, but the Huskies turned it over 23 times on the road. Surely they remember that game. But stylistically, the Ducks force you into jumpers, and this is not a good shooting team. The late season offensive surge for Washington, by my account, is due mainly to like getting to the free throw line. It's not from shot making or limiting turnovers or rebounding. It's just that they're shooting lots of free throws. TCU, Kansas, obvious bounce back. These teams just played. Kansas off back-to-back losses. Kansas at home. TCU likely exhaling after getting the much-needed wins. But I saw soft openers at 11.5, and it went down. I was surprised by that. I thought we'd get the surge to 12.5, and then maybe that final little push right before tip. It's so obvious that I thought it'd be presenting some contrarian value. I'm not really interested at 11.5. I'm not really interested at all. But 13 I'd be interested in, but asking for 2.5 points line movement is kind of silly in my opinion. Central Florida, Tulane. I capped this earlier today and I was like, oh, here comes more Tulane bets. That's what I do. They are elite shot makers. They force teams into jump shots, and they can't rebound at all. That's kind of their one flaw. But then news came out that Jalen Cook will sit, and he's shaky 50-50 at best for the conference tournament. So no Jalen Cook, I'm out. I haven't looked up his usage, but I'd assume around 30% usage. So, yeah, not going there. Cincinnati and SMU. SMU coming off an 18-point loss to Houston, but like 6 of those were in the final 30 seconds or whatever, and shot quality graded that game as, I think, a Houston 4 or 5-point win. It's not the best matchup for SMU. I think they'll own the boards since he has a good D. I don't know. It's just shaky. I don't like laying points, and that's a lot of points to lay. but it's worth noting shot quality says 9.5. Paddy says 11.5. I just would like something a little bit less. Oakland Wright State opened as a soft 2.5, and shot quality and Paddy both think closer to 2 possessions, but I went out to dinner with my wife, and now it's 4.5, and that's what happens when you don't lock in bets earlier in the day. But I don't like to do that until I have all the information and feel more confident in it. The last game, Oakland led by 11 with 6 minutes to go, and Wright State came back and won. Oakland's got the Marquette transfer, Jamal Cain, who's an absolute baller, but it's been a long time since Oakland played efficiently on either side of the ball, but both these teams are capable of just awful defensive performances. High variance game, high variance league, high variance conference tourney. Books are too sharp with Arizona State. I thought we'd get something closer to the Torvik or KenPom number. Instead, they're hanging a 7 there, which puts that game out of play for me. UT Arlington is close. A lot of 3.5s out there. FanDuel has a +4. KenPom 2, Torvik 2. Shot quality favors Arlington, and Paddy has it close to a pick 'em. I should probably pull the trigger. I'm just not sure what I'm going to do. Bellarmine hosting Florida Gulf Coast. Bellarmine's defense is bad, but that's not what they're known for. They're known for their offense. I do think Bellarmine will try to slow the game down. Gulf Coast will try to speed it up. Usually the team that is rebounding the best can dictate the pace, and that would be Gulf Coast. Paddy prefers Gulf Coast to win this game. Shot quality agrees. Both have Gulf Coast by 1.5. So getting possession looks good to me. Morgan State and Coppin State. These MEAC games are frustrating because data always looks good, and then the game happens, and it's like, what am I watching? And it's an ugly game, ugly shots, lots of turnovers, lots of fouls, lots of runs both ways, where it's like, oh, there's a 14-2 run, and then there's an 8-0 run coming back. And, teams that shoot like 27% from three-point range on the year will go like 16 out of 25 that one time, and then never again. But, when you bet against them, that's what happens. So it's orange. There's a couple of those on the schedule, and they're tough. They're tough. You have to decide what you want to do. It's nearly dark orange, but I'm getting a little tired of sitting out winners because I fear shot quality. Paddy, I think, is trucking shot quality right now. Army Lehigh is thin to begin with, and then Jordan Majeski. Again, I'm plugging you to sub to staring at the floorboards. It charges $10 for the year. I mean, some of these sites charge thousands of dollars, and he's writing up detailed matchup notes, and he notes in this game that Lehigh really struggles with pick and roll coverage. Army runs a lot of it, and the data also suggests turnover concerns for Lehigh. So matchup-wise, it's super thin. Lehigh is always in the game, though, with their lethal three-point shooting. Next up, UC San Diego at Cal State Bakersfield. Cal State Bakersfield plays the way I like teams that play like them. I just hate betting on. I am very comfortable fading. They shoot like half their shots from that inefficient mid-range, and UC San Diego is the opposite. They're rim and three, which I prefer, like almost every team in college basketball has moved to. And Bakersfield will allow plenty of clean looks from three. San Diego won the first game by 8 thanks to going 10 out of 23 from 3-point. So ultimately it comes down to that. Paddy and shot quality both think San Diego could win a close game here, and they're getting more than a full possession. Southern at Alabama State, SWAC game, and Southern has likely some regression coming on 3-point defense, but when you play SWAC teams, you can give up a lot of threes, and they don't always go in. So it's moderate. I don't hate it. Shot quality has it a little closer to the Alabama State side, but we'll see where I go with that. UMass Lowell and Hartford. Hartford's lethal from three. 45% of their shots come from behind the arc, and they make 38% of them. Ultimately, I think that's what it comes down to. In the first game, both teams shot the lights out. Shot quality gives an edge to Lowell, and then Paddy likes Hartford by 2 possessions. The line sits at 2.5, so it's kind of on the fence there. Another data play on a MEAC game. So 3.5 is the line, but KenPom's 5. Maybe we can squeeze a half point out of this clown show. But South Carolina State won the first by 6, 38 combined turnovers. That's what you get in those games. Fort Wayne, one of the best shooting teams, really in all of college basketball, but certainly in the Horizon as well. Last 4 games, they're 51 out of 104 from 3. So not just making them, but a high volume. Seems a little unsustainable to make 50% of your threes, but shot quality grades this team out as elite spacing, elite shooting, and it's not like a recent hot run. They've shot well the entire year. So enter UIC, who's 329th in three-point defense, and I like it. So I'm playing it. One thing to note, Illinois Chicago leaving the Horizon was banned from postseason play, and then they were let in. Then they had this clause that they couldn't host a tournament game, so they had to go to Milwaukee, and then they beat Milwaukee. I would like to listen to that pregame speech, just MFing the Horizon League. I think that would be interesting. Going to Arch Madness, Evansville and Valpo. These are 2 of the stone worst offensive rebounding teams in the country, and both teams are pretty good on the defensive glass. This will be slow. Valpo swept the season to date, and it's just showing as a data play. 5.5 with shot quality, thinking 7, Paddy thinking 9.5. American, yeah, coming to cover against the Navy midshipmen. There you go. That was pretty clever. Shot quality has the 19-10 Navy midshipmen, as should be 13-16. Navy did sweep the season series, winning by 2 and by 9. So Americans a little sloppy at the ball. They'll likely struggle with Navy's pressure D, but you're hoping for 59, 60 possession game, and covering 5 possessions is hard in a game that's so limited. Also, Summers has been banged up for Navy. He's barely played the last 2 games, so that helps as well. Shot quality says 10, Paddy says 8, and we're getting 12.5 in a super slow game. Let's try it. All right. More turd sandwiches. Delaware State at Maryland Eastern Shore. Delaware State, if you're wondering how many Division I teams they've beat this year, it's as many as me and 4 other guys. The answer is 0. Purely a data play. Shot quality says 7.5. Paddy says 8. Both are very good at predicting the outcome of college basketball games. And the line is 12. And I get why the line is 12. This team's 0-22. So, yeah, what do you do? Tennessee State advances to face Southeast Missouri State, and Paddy thinks that is quite the close game. I don't have a line on it yet. And then Tennessee Tech will face Morehead State, and I do not think that's a close game. Something to note, if Morehead State, I don't know, I mean, you're going to have to beat Belmont and Murray, likely, to win it. But, Morehead played both those teams close this year. So, just something to note there. That's all I'll say about that. All right, here's what I'm looking at. The top group of games I've bet already. American plus 12.5, Gulf Coast plus 3, Iowa plus 2, Fort Wayne and Valpo minus 5.5. I'm really looking at SMU, Morgan State, UC San Diego, Maryland Eastern Shore. You could probably throw UT Arlington in there. I'm going to post the spreadsheet into the description of this video, and I wish you all luck. It is certainly heating up, and each day we drop off teams that I no longer have to handicap for the rest of the year. This is Cutting Down the